My name's Devon Lombard-Henley, and I'm a Knaus Fellow at the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. We're here at Capitol Hill Ocean Week 2024 in Washington, D.C., and we're going to talk to some U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service staff. Can you tell us your name, position, and how long you've been with the Fish and Wildlife Service?
Pete Leary, Marine Program Coordinator. I've been with Fish and Wildlife Service for 17 years.
Annie Sawabini. I'm the National Lead for the Coastal and Marine Programs in the Fish and Wildlife Service's headquarters office. I've been here a year.
John Huffman, Branch Chief for Habitat Restoration. Been with the Fish and Wildlife Service for 27 years now.
Megan Spitzer. I am an environmental protection specialist with the Branch Environmental Compliance and Sustainability in the National Wildlife Refuge System, and I've been with the service for just under a year.
Sean McDuff. I'm the superintendent for the Mariana Trench Marine National Monument. Been in this position for 9 months.
Serena Selbo, Assistant Regional Director for the Refuge System in our Pacific region. And I've been with the agency for 22 years.
Jackie Sadowski, Visitor Services Intern in the Northeast region, a little over 2 years.
Megan Murphy, Visual Information Specialist, 3 years.
Lauren Bennett, and I'm the Conservation Planner for the Northeast Canyons and Seamounts Marine National Monument.
Brittany Peterson, Visual and Design Branch Manager at the National Conservation Training Center, 18 years.
Becca Lensing, Knaus Fellow, currently in the position of the Special Assistant to the Deputy Assistant Directors of Ecological Services of U.S. Fish and Wildlife.
Caitlin Manley, I'm an Endangered Species Recovery Biologist, and last year I was a fellow with the service, and I have been working in this position for about 4 months now.
Angela Gustafson, Branch Chief for the Branch of Coastal and Marine Resources in our headquarters Ecological Services Program, almost 16 years.
What is your favorite animal?
Laysan albatross. They're very charismatic.
Laysan albatross. Worked with them out on Midway. They're little characters. Wisdom, the world's oldest known wild bird, is a Laysan albatross.
My favorite marine animal, which I've been able to see in the wild a couple times now, is the leatherback sea turtle.
Sea turtle, because I love they travel long distances and then they find their way home to have some more eggs, and I just think they're so graceful swimming through the water.
Favorite marine animal is actually an estuarine species called the diamondback terrapin. Studied them for years. Found in the Gulf Coast, in the Northeast, along the Atlantic coast and Southeast. Not many people know a lot about them. They're more common up here in the Northeast, but not so much in the Gulf Coast where I studied them.
I'm picking one based on function. Island communities depend on food and fish, and so I'm going to choose fish for that reason.
American eel. In college, I did a project with American eels, electrofishing, and they're just so cool.
Roseate spoonbills. They have a pink coloring because of the foods that they eat. Spoon-shaped beak to help them get the foods that they need. Really great, engaging, and charismatic bird.
At the moment, it changes all the time, the giant manta ray. It comes up to the monument in the North Atlantic. It rides the Gulf Stream current.
The spotted eagle ray is my favorite marine animal. The Hawaiian name is Hihimanu, which means elegant bird. They are very elegant in the water. They're so pretty to see. They like to go along the tracks of the sunrise seashells, which are a very rare type of bivalve in Hawaii. And in addition, it was the protector, the spiritual protector of one of the field studies that I worked with for my graduate work.
Hardest question ever. I would say my current favorite animal is the bony-eared assfish. Looks like a giant tadpole. In its youth and its early stages is quite flamboyant and flowy and seen in shallower waters.
My favorite marine animal is a manatee.
The West Indian manatee. It's one of the species of marine mammals that are under the Fish and Wildlife Service jurisdiction. They are the only vegetarian marine mammal, so I find that to be really interesting. I like their energy. They're a very peaceful animal. They need protection.
What do you like about working for the Fish and Wildlife Service? I like working for Fish and Wildlife Service because not everybody knows about the refuges in our programs. I like the underdog effect, so it's a very special place to work.
I really like our mission that we're trying to protect areas for threatened and endangered species as well as the communities that rely on those areas. I think that's a really important thing to be working on, especially with climate change and all those impacts coming for both the people and the critters.
The mission of the service is really focused on protection and conservation of fish, wildlife, habitat. We're putting the species that are in need of our protection first and the habitat that they rely on. So I think that's a really noble cause. I'm just happy to work for an agency that prioritizes the needs of natural resources that I care so deeply about.
I love the work to give voice and care to the creatures that don't have a voice for themselves. Thinking in this habitat scape of how do we create homes suitable for wildlife and the protections that they need so that we can see that into the future.
Results from my work, see conservation in action after I work on, say, a policy, or when I was in the field restoring an area and actually seeing the wildlife come and use that area after it's been restored.
Working collaboratively with partners of all kinds, from landowners to tribes and all kinds of federal and state, local agencies, land trusts. When we work with people, it's because of their shared goals and mutual interest, not because of regulatory requirement. That's my favorite part.
The diversity of our work. We have these beautiful protected lands, both on land and in the ocean and coastal, both so remote and also right next to cities, protecting the land and the communities that need them.
I have been really fortunate to have the opportunity to move around the country working for the Fish and Wildlife Service, from the Midwest to the Rocky Mountains to Alaska, and now working in the Pacific region, working with people that are so passionate about the resources that we protect.
There's a lot of support at all levels. With a bunch of experts that can help me in my small space, do a lot of big things. So the support and the people are great.
Just the commitment of everybody on the team, the scientist, the visual information specialist, the communications team, the visitor use services. It's such an amazing group of people that when they come together, just achieve amazing things and really engage the public. And I really admire and respect everybody's effort in doing that.
The people I work with on the day-to-day are just absolutely fantastic. They're very supportive, and it just makes coming to work such a joy.
Really incredible, passionate group of people. I've always just had such a great time working with all of the people in the Fish and Wildlife Service, with such expertise and real passion for the work that they do. And it's just been really inspiring getting to work with everyone.
All the people you get to work with. So love the animals, especially love the ocean, but the people are the best part.
What is your biggest conservation goal or achievement?
Just this week, we released the Northeast Canyons and Seamounts Marine National Monument management plan, so I was luckily able to work on that.
The publication of the management plan, the first management plan for the Northeast Canyons and Seamounts, which just came out this week.
I think my biggest conservation goal is to raise the profile of the Fish and Wildlife Service as a marine manager. We're really known as land managers, but we manage more water than we do land.
Deepwater Horizon oil spill was a tragedy. 11 people lost their lives. I was part of setting up a team to work across programs within the Fish and Wildlife Service and across the Gulf to try to make the most out of the resources that were provided as a result of that spill. So restoration, building partnerships, connecting people. That was a really exciting opportunity to be a part of in the restoration, to try to find solutions to that travesty. But I'm really looking forward to doing something similar with our own marine program within the Fish and Wildlife Service, because we have this amazing resource, with 760 million acres of marine habitats and all the 180 plus refuges, coastal and marine refuges, that need more attention and more support. And I really want to be a part of bringing that resource to bear.
Well, 5-year-old me would say save the turtles, but I've really found a love of both protecting people and the environment, so uplifting communities so they can protect themselves and also the oceans in the process.
The biggest thing I want to achieve is, having the communities from the Mariana Islands proud of the national monument that we have in our backyard. Connecting them to that is going to be a challenge, but I think when we're all said and done, hopefully we're all proud of what we have.
I think my biggest conservation achievement has really been bringing great people into the agency. I feel like I've hired a lot of great people over the years, and just seeing them come into the agency and thrive and move on to different positions and make such a conservation impact, that's been my conservation impact and achievement.
I am really, really passionate about the next generation of leaders in this organization, mentoring those that are up and coming in their career and giving them those opportunities is probably what I care most about.
Well, my biggest goal is to be the best support I can be to the monument, to other organizations, in order to help them out and really broadcast their message and amplify their message. So if I can help them do that, that would be a fantastic goal for me.
It's when you get to see people connect, no matter the age, but when they connect to the simplest of things that might be in their backyard or so further away, and then creating conservation spaces that allow for people to reconnect with that nature, creating those green spaces, those conservation spaces that allow for these species and this mission to continue forward is probably like one of my achievements that I have to say I've been able to participate in, and a goal that I want to see into the future.
I would like to get a job with U.S. Fish and Wildlife so that I can put my all into conservation and come to work every day and do the conservation work that is so important.
Addressing the backlog of endangered species that don't have recovery plans. Make sure that they have recovery plans in place so that we can work with our partners in the field to implement actions that will potentially, hopefully, restore the species, just make it a thriving population of any of the species that we're working on.
That's a hard one because the goal is to conserve more and to make all wildlife happy. That's not happening as fast as it should. There's so much work to do and a lot of things you can't do. I'd say my goal is just to continue to do more and can do as much conservation work as I possibly can.
Thanks for coming to CHOW.
CHOW.
2024.
See you next year.